Hi, and welcome to this live hypermobility class with me, Jeannie DeBon, a movement therapist who specialises in working with people with hypermobility, EDS and chronic pain. So thank you for joining me. If you're joining me live, thank you for watching this if you're watching it back. So this is called The Truth About Stretching. So I get a lot of questions whether it's safe to stretch if you have hypermobility. And again, this is a bit of a controversial and mixed bag, and my views are probably maybe different to some people that are out there. I had so much I wanted to tell you. I've made some notes so I didn't forget anything. And I've got my trusty tensegrity model to help explain what I'm talking about. And I've got a TheraBand. Although you don't need any equipment for today's class, we're going to be equipment free. Okay, so should we be stretching? So the first important thing to note is that stretching isn't done in nature. So you don't see animals stretching their hamstrings. You see them pandiculate, so they go into like a downward dog, or a cat does a lovely stretch, but then it comes straight back out of it. Yeah, so it opens up, it does this pandiculation, but it doesn't stand there and say, oh, I've got tight paws today, I'm going to give myself a good static stretch. We just don't see it. So is it natural for us to be doing static stretching? That's the first question we have to ask ourselves. My problem with static stretching in general, first of all, there's no actual research that shows that it helps improve injury prevention. Doesn't improve performance if you're an athlete, and this is according to research by Robert Schleip, who is sort of the king of fascia. You may have heard of him, but what he does say is that dynamic stretching is able to, over a period of time, improve the quality of our connective tissue and make it more elastic, which is what we want. We want more elasticity. Do we really want to be stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching until this band's going to snap? Yeah, especially if I'm hanging into my joints. Do we think that's a good thing to be doing? Or do we want to do some kind of movement that moves in and out of, not end of range, not going here where I'm like, my muscles and tissues are like bursting, but no, moving in and out. So we're getting those tight spots moving, but we're not going end of range and hanging. Okay, so there is evidence that dynamic stretching does actually help, and that's what I teach my clients. We don't do any static stretching in the Zebra Club or in any of my face-to-face sessions. We just don't stretch, not in that way. Okay, but we move, and we move dynamically, which can be considered a form of stretching. Okay, so we need elasticity. My problem I have with static stretching for the hypermobile community is that we love to hang, don't we? We love to hang in our joints. So my caveat is, if you believe you can statically stretch and you're definitely not hanging, you know, some people say that static stretching is good. Some people in the EDS world say that, you know, doctors, PTs, they say it's okay. But I'm really concerned that we are just hanging and we're not actually getting that stretch. But again, as I say, I don't teach any kind of static stretching. Okay, so I'm probably different to a lot of people that are out there. The other thing we need to be aware of, that our joints will stretch before we even get to the muscle. So if we're going for some massive stretch, again, this is our connective tissue, and we're stretching, stretching, stretching. What are we actually stretching? Are we stretching the tight muscles, or are we stretching at the joint? Now, if we have joint laxity, obviously that is a potential problem if we're now stretching it even more. Yeah? So something else to be aware of if you're doing static stretching. So we want our tissue to be more elastic. I liken it to flossing your teeth. So if you floss your teeth and you kind of go in with your dental floss or your little brush, and you kind of do this, don't you? Go in and out, but you don't hang around. You go through every tooth and you kind of floss. And we want to floss our tissue. Yeah, we don't want to stretch it, stretch it. Because remember, those muscles are tight for a reason, okay? So, for example, my hips are really, really tight. They always have been, probably, they've improved a lot, okay? My hamstrings used to be super tight, but I didn't have any glute muscles. I didn't have any, you know, muscles in my backside, so I was very weak hamstrings, but my quads and my inner thighs were super, super tight. So I might have attempted to stretch my hamstrings because they felt tight, but those hamstrings were actually weak. So I'm actually attacking those hamstrings, trying to get them to stretch. There's no way they're going to let go because they're hanging on for dear life. And they say, if you try and stretch us, you know, there's nothing else supporting us. Remember, we want balance with the front and the back of the body so that the muscles are kind of gliding against each other in harmony. So if I'm desperately trying to stretch somebody who's already feeling quite weak in that structure of our whole elastic recoiling structure, they're never going to do it. And in fact, the thing that happens, because the fascia starts to feel threatened, the more you try and stretch it, it will go, my goodness, we're under threat. It will start to contract even more. So you can keep stretching those hamstrings, but they won't actually change. They won't become more elastic because they feel threatened. So they'll contract more to try and stabilize you more. Those tight muscles are trying to stabilize for the bits that might be very, very lax. So my hips are my tightest area. Everything else is pretty lax. So they're almost trying to stabilize for everyone else. Okay, so I work around that, and I definitely strengthen my hamstrings, which helped relieve some of the pressure off my inner thighs and my quads. So it is all about balance, okay? Of course, we want these dynamic stretches to be low impact. If you Google dynamic stretches, you're going to get star jumps, you know, burpees. We don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be doing high impact stretching. So the stretches we're going to do today together are low impact, but just as effective and no damage to the joints. So excellent. And I did do actually a little question on my social media, and I asked who actually stretches and why do we stretch? And a number of us did come back and say, yep, we do stretch. The number one reason was for pain relief. So we find that it does help, okay, but temporarily. It's not a permanent fix. Whereas I found that dynamic stretching really does help. So top areas for wanting stretching, according to my little survey: hamstrings, inner thighs, lower back. So this whole sort of pelvic girdle area gets very tight. Another area you might experience being very tight are your pecs, these muscles here. Mine certainly was when I had my chronic shoulder issue, because this was trying to stabilize, because the back, remember we talk about the back of the body being quite weak for most of us, especially our upper backs. So this was incredibly weak. So this was trying to stabilize my shoulder, and my shoulder got pulled forward, which obviously wasn't stable anyway because it was in totally the wrong place. But my body was doing whatever it could to help me stabilize and make me feel safe. Okay, so again, strengthening the back of my body allowed this to open up. Okay, stretching and stretching and stretching my pec isn't going to help. It will just ping back every time. Okay. Because if we think of this as our whole body, as a whole structure, and you know, if you've ever listened to my videos, I don't really talk about individual muscles. I just don't, because I think of the body as a whole. So if we're doing dynamic stretching, we're experiencing this in every part of the body. If you pull on one part of the body, it's going to affect something else. Okay, so we've got to start thinking globally as opposed to hamstring stretch, quad stretch, you know, whatever stretch. Okay, so we want to start thinking globally as well when we're doing this class. Okay, so don't need any equipment. Just bear this in mind that we're looking for flossing as opposed to end of range maxing out. Okay, no maxing out. Let's work in a nice flossing way. Okay, great. So get yourself comfy, just get these out of the way, okay? There might be a bit at the end because I want to do one thing standing. You might not see my head, but you'll see the rest of me, it'll be fine. The rest of it is on the floor, so no worries, it's only the very last bit. Okay, so I'm going to keep my glasses on because otherwise I can't see you very well. So I want to be able to see you. So, okay, now, so let's get started. We're going to start on our backs. Make sure you get comfy up. Now remember, I don't know who's watching, I don't know your body, so please look after yourself. If there's anything you shouldn't be doing that you know is going to hurt or increase your pain, please don't do it. Listen to your body, work within your limits, and enjoy, yeah? Hopefully this gives you some ideas. Even if you don't do the whole class, you can take bits and bobs out of it to work on at home. But please look after yourselves, make sure you're comfortable. None of this should hurt. You might feel a change in tissue quality, but it shouldn't be like, ouch, this is agony, okay? So, lying on your back, get a head support if you need one, okay? So make sure you feel comfortable, okay? And we're just gonna lie down. We can close our eyes and just rest your hands on your ribs for a moment if that's comfortable. Let your body just settle into the ground. Just take a moment, feeling the weightiness of your pelvis. So as we exhale, the body's going to soften and just release. Remember that weightiness is going to release some of that muscular tension. So just allowing the body a moment to just settle. Can you feel the weight through the back of your ribs? Can you feel the weight through the back of your pelvis? Can you feel the weight through the back of your head? That's it, just let the breath settle you in. Okay, now, hands down by our sides. We're just going to start floating the arms up. Remember, soft elbows. Feel the weightiness through the back of the shoulders. We're just going to take the arms overhead. So already, if you think about this, we're already stretching. You might be feeling through the side body up into the arms, there's something going on. And then we're going to bring them back. So this is just a little gentle flossing of the upper body. And we're just moving in and out of it. I'm not going end of range. I'm not going to the floor. I'm just moving in and out. One more time, in. Pelvis stays heavy, ribs stay heavy, and out. And now we're going to do a little bit of swimming. So I'm going to take just one arm up. And then we're going to swap in the middle and we're going to do the other arm. So I might notice now that one side feels tighter than the other. Remember, we're thinking globally. So it's not just an arm movement. Can you feel that going all the way down into your pelvis? Notice, does it feel different one side to the other? And just one more. Remember, you can do as many reps as you want. You don't have to do as many as me. Rotate the arms so the palms face each other. Let those shoulders feel really heavy. Again, remember I said a lot of us feel tightness across the front of our chest. Let's slowly start to open the chest, take the arms apart. Just to where you feel a change in your tissue. We're not going all the way to the floor. And then we're going to bring it back. So I open my chest, open the thorax, pelvis and ribs stay heavy, and I come back. One more time, open up. What does that feel like? And back. And now I'm going to take it into a lovely arm circle. So I'm going to go around. Got a little bit more room on this side, but we're going up and over, not reaching the floor. Widen the chest. Notice that feeling of openness through the front of your chest. But remember, you're moving from the back of your body. So the arms are coming through the back. One more time. Up and over, around, and then back down. And just rest your arms on the floor. Gently just roll your head, if it's safe to do so, from side to side. Again here, you're going to feel something through the side of your neck. But again, I'm not hanging around, hanging off my weight of my head. I'm just releasing my neck a little bit. Again, you might feel that all the way down into your chest, depending on how tight you are. Very good. So we've kind of warmed up the arms. Let's just pay attention to our feet. We'll just do a couple of pelvic tilts. So just gently roll the pelvis back and forth. So just loosen off the lower back a little bit. Okay, remember, try not to use too much effort. So no pushing, none of this going on. Okay, very gentle rocking sensation through the back of the pelvis. And then we're just going to roll up into a bridge. So why are we doing a bridge? Because it's going to open my thighs. Again, no quad stretching, hanging off my quads. I'm going to dynamically lengthen my quads. Again, you can go as slowly as you like here. We can take it really slow. It's not about the speed. It's just about that gentle moving in and out of it. Okay, so one more time, roll it up. You might be feeling that openness through the hips. Okay, that's a good thing. Just make sure your tail is still pointing towards the back of your knees and you're not here. So I don't want an arch in my back, I want a tuck. Okay, and then rolling down. Let your pelvis settle. We're just going to float one leg up and we're just going to hold behind the thigh. And even here, I'm just going to gently draw it in. If you've got hip impingements, obviously don't pull it in too much. You could take it out to the side very slightly if that's more comfortable. So here I'm just getting a little glute length through the glutes, hamstrings, lower back. Good. Now I'm going to hold this and I'm going to just circle my ankles. So again, tight calf muscles, tight ankles, just circling that round. Now, again, it doesn't matter if we can't straighten the leg here, that's not really the point. We're going to keep this thigh bone really heavy and see if we can just lengthen the leg. Remember I said I was tight in the back? There we go. Okay, I'll get there in the end with flossing, okay, but my first normal place is tight, yeah? But through flossing, you see a little bit, each time I go a little bit further because I'm gently teasing my tissue, okay? But if you're here, don't force it. You know, remember I do this a lot, so I can tease myself. I know what I should be feeling, so don't force. If we're here, it's fine. Okay, and then give it a little hug. Now we're just going to cross that leg over the other one, if that's comfortable. Take your arms out to the side a little bit and just gently rock over. And you might get a bit of a stretch down the side of the hip. Again, I'm not flopping to the floor. I haven't collapsed. Okay, I'm just going back and forth, gently flossing through that glute tissue side of my waist. Okay, and then coming back, and let's just do the other side. So I'm going to fold the other leg in. Again, adjusting as you need to. If you need to go to the side, just take it out to the side a little bit. Exhaling to bring that leg in. And then we'll do our little calf movement. Try and keep your toes quiet. Try and just mobilize the ankle. And you're probably feeling a bit of a stretch through the back of the calf. And then again, let's just see what this side feels like. So go up and down. So I'm flossing here. I'm not forcing my hamstrings. I'm just teasing. We like to tease our tissue. Fascia likes to be teased. It doesn't like to be forced. So I could do it and I could force my leg up, but it doesn't really feel very pleasant and it's probably not going to help me. So I prefer to just tease my tissue. Okay, and then we're just going to fold this one over. So you're just folding one leg on top of the other and just gently rolling to the side. Again, it might feel different one side to the other. Again, depending on those compensatory patterns through the whole structure. Okay, coming out, take your feet to the edge of your mat, so you're slightly wider than normal. Hands in a low V shape, and let's roll the structure to the side. Okay, now again, I'm not collapsing to the floor. So as I go here, I'm not just crashing. Can you see I'm just hanging now off off my hips, off my low back, not very nice. So I'm going over, I'm reaching through the legs. Thank you for all the comments, guys. I can't read them at the moment, but I'm going to get back to you at the end of class. So please keep your comments coming in. I appreciate it. I just can't see. Plus, because I can't see anyway, because I've got really bad eyesight. Okay, so reaching and reaching. So again, we're getting the quads, we're getting the side of the hip, we're getting a little bit of lumbar spine. If you want to make this a bigger global movement, you're going to rock your legs to one side, take that arm, the opposite arm, just reach overhead like we did earlier. And you'll feel this lovely stretch through the whole side body. And then bring it back. So I rock over with my legs and I take the opposite arm overhead. Again, I'm not hanging about. I'm not giving myself a chance to hang. I'm lying in my elasticity. Think of it like that. You're lying in a big network of elasticity rather than lying in, I don't know, a hammock that has lost all its elasticity and is just sagging in the middle. Yeah, so we want elastic. And then we're going to come back, we're going to walk our legs back in and just take a moment. Now, if it's comfortable for you, we're going to lift one leg up and we're going to bring the other leg up. So if you need to help yourself, you can bring it up. So we're kind of here. We're going to just rest, don't hold on to the kneecaps, especially if they're sort of hypermobile kneecaps. Hold on just below the kneecap. So here you can see I'm getting a bit of a flexion through here, a bit of a stretch again through this lower back, through the hamstrings. But I'm going to remember people were saying that their adductors, their inner thighs get quite tight, so I'm going to dynamically stretch them. So I'm going to take them out to the side, not hanging, I'm just going to rotate them. So I'm going to draw them in, I'm going to go out and around. So I'm circling. You might be getting a stretch on those inner thighs. If I was hanging, I'd do this, and I just hang. We're not doing that, okay? Because that's not, doesn't feel very nice. Okay, I want you to notice the difference in the feeling. So yeah, you can feel the tissue moving. You might feel a change in the quality, but it shouldn't feel painful, like uncomfortable. And that's what I don't like about static stretching, is that people take it so far that it hurts. And I don't think we should be doing anything that hurts. Let's just go the other way again. Just see how that feels. Excellent. Have a final little hug, maybe a little rock from side to side if that works for you. And then you're going to lower your legs down. Just take a breath. Let everything settle. Now, we're going to roll over onto our side. So I hope, I wish I could see the comments because I hope you're enjoying the class. Now, if this doesn't work for you and you can't lie on your arm, lie on your cushion, okay? So, I really want to see what the comments are. Okay, yes, lots of comments about the class. Thank you. I will, as I say, I'll respond to those at the end of the class. So, use a cushion if you can't lie on your arm, if it's uncomfortable on your shoulder or your neck. Make sure your neck's not sort of falling off at an angle. I want your neck nice and supported. So, again, a bit of that dynamic stretching on the side. Again, you can layer this up. So the first thing we're going to try and do is just lift the leg, okay, and that might be enough. And we're going to see if we can just take the leg behind us a little bit. Okay, so you're kind of swinging the leg forward and back. Okay, so again, I'm not forcing it. I'm not doing this, yeah, where my lumbar spine has lost stability. I just want to mobilize a little bit. And then I'm going to take the arm and I'm going to move it in the opposite direction. So similar to what we did lying on our back. So I'm getting this diagonal length from my little finger all the way down the front of my thigh. And that is continuous, yeah, your fascia is continuous. It's a big sheet. Yeah, it's straight through there. You are impacting everything. If you have the stability, if you have done this before and you're able to straighten your leg, you can obviously make this a little bit bigger, swinging the arm and leg in opposition. Again, we're getting a full diagonal stretch through the whole body here. Again, if that's too much, keep the leg bent. If moving the arm is too much, just stick to the leg, okay? If the leg is too much, just move the arm. Yeah, so lots of different options. But again, think of this global network. Okay, let's come up. Let's change sides. Take your time. Take as long as you like. And then come and lie on your other side. Now, of course, it might feel totally different on the other side. So, settle yourself in. See if you can just lift the leg. And see if you can start moving the leg forward and back. Does it feel tighter as you go back? Again, work within your range. No popping forward with the hip. No collapsing here. Yeah, so remember we're flossing. That's the word of the day. Is that I'm just trying to move and hydrate my tissue. Yeah, not forcing it to do anything it doesn't want to do. Let's add the arm. I'm encouraging movement as opposed to forcing it. If you have a straight leg, you're going to carry on with the straight leg. Make sure your foot's not flopping off at the end. Yeah, if you've got very lax ankles, let's work those ankle joints. Make sure the foot is staying straight. And remember, I could just be doing my arm at the moment. If the leg is too much for you, then just do the arm. So one more of whatever version you're doing, and then come to rest. Just take a moment before we slowly come up and we go over onto all fours. Now, if you can't go on all fours, you can obviously do this down on your elbows. If you really can't kneel, we can do all of this in a chair, okay? Because we're basically just going to do some cats. So we could be doing cats seated in a chair, okay? You can pad yourself up with cushions. You can put a towel under your shins so your kneecaps aren't actually touching the floor. There's lots of different variations. But if you're able to, I'm just going to demonstrate the 4-point kneeling one. So make sure we're not collapsing and locking out. So we're in our back. We're not collapsing through our lumbers. Good. So cats are a brilliant dynamic stretch. We're going to tuck. We're going to round, not pushing with those arms. But I'm getting a full spinal stretch. It's called a cat stretch. And then we're coming out of it. I don't do the cat-cow, I just come back to neutral because I don't like collapsing into cat-cow. Yeah, so we're going around. And try not to push into those shoulders. Make it a shoulder exercise. Make it a spinal exercise. And length. And round. And length. Now, take a little break if you need to. Give your wrists a little rest. This next one is really lovely if you have a tight lower back. We're going to do a cat with a little hinge. So we're going into cat. We're going to move backwards. You'll feel this change in your tissue. I feel it all through here. But of course you might feel it somewhere else because we all have different tensional patterns in our body. So maybe every single one of us is feeling this in a different place, which is great because we're all different. And back. If you want to stretch the fascia of your feet as well, you tuck your toes under, and as you hinge back, you're going to stretch the fascia of your feet as well, which is quite nice. Very good. And forward and uncurl, and let's take a little break. Give our wrists a little rest. Okay, child's pose, incidentally, is just a nice way to stretch out and breathe. But again, not collapsing, yeah? So a dynamic stretching here, not hanging out and collapsing. Now, this final exercise on all fours requires us to be able to balance on one hand. I'm going to show you a seated version in a minute if this doesn't work for you. So we're coming onto all fours. I'm going to take one hand off. Again, it doesn't matter how far you go. Watch that elbow doesn't lock, as mine just did. Keep it soft. And we're going to start to gently rotate. So I'm rotating here, so I'm dynamically stretching, not hanging, not coming down here and collapsing. Okay, I just want to turn my ribs a little bit. So it's like I'm carrying something in the palm of my hand and I'm just passing it to you. And I'm passing it to you. So I'm flossing and I'm passing it to you. Yeah, let's do the other side. Something in the palm of the hand, soft elbow, and I'm passing it through. Okay, so again, don't worry if this one's too much. We're going to rotate in a seated position in a minute. Okay, one more, and then come back. Just take another cat, and then come out of it. Good. Swing yourself around into a comfortable seat. So if that was too much and you didn't like being on all fours, let's do the rotation seated. So again, we're just going to cross one hand over the other, and I'm just going to gently rotate. Try not to lean, try not to collapse. Okay, think, again, it doesn't matter, you might only go there, really doesn't matter, but my spine is long. I'm not doing this and trying to go as far as I can. Anyway, that just came from my shoulder, that didn't even come from my spine. Okay, so just the spine, and we come back. Just the spine, not the shoulder. Just the spine, just the spine. So again, we can get our rotation without having to be on all fours. But I'm mobilizing all of this stuff around here, which can get really tight. But please don't jam into it and don't crush down on your spine. We want to try and stay long. Fantastic. Let's reach up. Long line, up and over. So again, notice where you might be feeling that. Try not to tip your pelvis up. So if we're particularly tight and I can only go there, better to be here than thinking I've gone a long way but I've lifted up over here. Okay, so again, range is not important, especially when we're doing our dynamic stretches. We're flossing our tissue, we're breathing. Again, you can go slower. We can do it really slow. Very nice. You can do it without the arms. If the arms hurt, we can just go from side to side. Again, we're thinking of that whole movement through the spine. And then come back to center. Just roll the shoulders for a minute. If it's comfortable, swing around. Remember we were talking about hamstrings. So if you can sit with straight legs, that's great. If you need to sit on a block or a couple of books to have straight legs, that's fine. If you need to bend your legs because they're tight, like me, that's fine too. So whatever version works for you. We're just going to float those arms up. Now make sure the arms are in your back. We haven't done this. Okay, so I'm here. My shoulders are in my back. I'm going to gently look down, sort of at the floor in between my feet, so my neck starts to flex. Now, I'm not going to move from here. I'm going to tip my pelvis forward, and I'm going to have a little stretch through here, the whole back line. How do I get back? Shoulders stay quiet. I drop into my pelvis and I roll back up. Okay, I can do that with straight legs. Again, shoulders in my back. I tip my pelvis forward. Now, I'm not going all the way to my feet. You'll see people, dancers and things, they can get their head all the way down here. That's not me. This is it, okay? And that's fine. I don't need to put my head down here. I don't need that function. I'm not a dancer, I'm not a gymnast. I just need to feel I can move and be healthy. So for me, this is my range, yeah, because my hips are not going to let me go any further, and I'm not going to force it. And back up. So if I'm still here, it's the same thing. Okay, flossing. One more time. Now, remember a lot of us said we had to tight inner thighs. You can take your legs wider. So again, looking after your hips, if that's not comfortable, you might be here. Put your hands in between your legs and just gently walk forward. Again, you're probably going to feel something in your inner thighs. Don't go beyond your range. And then just walk your hands back. So I'm coming forward. And I'm coming back. Okay, one more time, coming forward. Breathing, of course, coming back. Bring the legs together. Maybe just point and flex the feet a little bit. You can lean back as you do that. And just loosen that off. Now, I'm going to come up to stand, so this is the bit where you might lose my head, but we're just going to do a little standing, a couple of standing things. I am just going to tip the camera up a little bit, maybe that will help. Just bear with me. Oh yeah, that's not, oh you can see my head, that's great, but not, that's fine. Okay, so standing hip distance apart, make sure those knees are soft. Breath, settle down into your feet. Just roll the shoulders a couple of times. And then we're going to keep the hands by our sides. Again, really important you try not to lock your knees. And we're just going to slide down the side. So again, a bit of a longer side bend. It's going to go, this side bend is going to go down here all the way to the side of your ankle. Because remember, the fascia is connected. It's everywhere. If you want to add the arms, if you don't have shoulder issues and you want to lift the arm up, if you take the arm overhead, you're going to get an even bigger stretch through here. And if you're going to do that, let's stay on the same side and just do 3 repetitions to floss this way. And then let's do the other side. If you're not doing the arms, you can still do 3 on the same side. And that's fine. Very good. Come back, roll the shoulders. So just make sure when you're doing this that you're not sort of sticking out and you're not sort of slouching in. We're just going to do those arm circles again that we did lying down. So we're going to float the arms up. Try not to do this. Okay, so again, if I can only go to here, that's fine. And I'm going to circle around. So really heavy in my feet. Equal weight through both feet. Up and around. And up, watch those knees haven't locked, and around. Last one, up and around. Roll those shoulders. So final thing, big global exercise, roll downs or forward rolls. Really great exercise as long as we don't hang. So I'm going to show you a hanging version, and then we're going to do the correct version. So I might, and again, if you don't want to do a forward fold, and it's too much load, if you have any back issues, we can bend our knees and we can do a standing cat. So I'm going to show you all the different variations. So this is what not to do. Nod the head, fall forward and hang. And just hang. Can you see I'm hanging up here? My legs aren't doing anything. In fact, I've locked everything. I'm just hanging. Okay? This isn't nice. And then getting up by just pulling on my back. We don't want to do that. That's no. What do we want to do? Soft knees. Think of lifting up and over. So I'm trying to stretch the whole back of my body. So I'm going to nod the head, coming up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. I don't reach the floor because I haven't hung, okay? So I'm here, I'm not touching the ground. And now soft knees, stand into my feet and roll back up. Using my legs. It's a lot of leg work in a roll down or a forward roll. Okay, so we'll do one more of those and then some cats if you don't like doing this. So a little nod of the head, send the heart backwards, let the gravity take your arms. Now lift up and over, there's the lifting through the spine here, and I'm not hanging, I haven't come down here. I'm working, I'm really working to be here. Then I'm going to stand into my feet and I'm going to roll all the way back up. Spine lengthens. Alternative version, hands on the legs, gentle cat, instead of doing the full forward roll. But again, I'm getting a lovely feeling through here as I mobilize my spine. Good. Last one. And then you can just roll up all the way. Roll the shoulders. Take a moment for just quiet standing. So close the eyes. Let your shoulders be soft. Your heart rate might have gone up a little bit. I know mine has from doing those forward rolls. So just take a moment. If you need to sit down, obviously sit down. Just take a breath. Let your shoulders feel soft. Make sure your knees are soft. And just notice how you feel. You might be feeling a little bit tingly, a little bit like you've moved your tissues and hydrated your tissues, which will be great. So I hope that gave you some ideas. We've done sort of lots of different positions: supine, 4-point kneeling, side lying, standing, seated, lots of different things that you can maybe take. When you're feeling that tightness, think of the dynamic action rather than just stretching it. And you know, over time, the tissue should become more elastic and more resilient rather than being forced into those sort of very sort of dangerous end of range, which aren't actually going to make a lot of difference in my experience and, you know, from research. So thank you so much everyone who joined me. I'm going to read all your comments and get back to you. I'll see you next month. So the first Thursday of every month, we will do something else. If you have any suggestions about the truth about whatever, let me know. Whatever you feel. I'm thinking feet, the truth about feet. But, you know, let me know if you have anything that's troubling you, and we will get to it. So thank you again. Until next time, stay zebra strong. Bye, guys.